Okay. Who watched video number 2? All right. So you will notice that one of the things in video number 2, Alma.
New video though? Is this a new video?
No, it's the launch videos. So if you do launch session.
Yeah, so I watched those.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Am I supposed to do it again? I mean,
Well, if you want to. So
I mean,
wait,
I
hold
plan
on.
on redoing it, rewatching it just for, always
Yeah.
good to refresh your memory.
Yep, yep. All right, so let's start with just little housekeeping stuff, right? Which was part of it. Did you guys do your allocation of funds if you hadn't before? Do you have an idea of how much money you need? Did you hone in on that? Because that's the root and it's the foundation of everything. Yeah, Barney, why are you laughing?
I keep a log anyways, but go ahead.
Okay, hold on, I'm gonna close this door. Henry out there is some crazy ringer on his phone. Okay, so did you, okay, so you guys happy with that then? You at least have that? I wanna make sure you don't have to share it if you don't want to. That's your thing.
The business part, I need to work on a little bit more, but the family part I have. So
Okay. So the business part for now, even if you just do the $21,000, which is the royalty and the office split, and even if you just add a couple $100 a month, that'll cover GMAR, Real Comp, and some Facebook ads, right? You don't have to get too crazy on that right now, but at least it gives you an idea, right?
Okay.
Okay, so the next thing that was talked about in number 2 is prioritizing, how to prioritize your day and your time so that you stay focused, Alma, on what's important.
There you go.
Today's gonna be pick on Alma day only because she opened herself up.
Oh, about me driving around. Is that what?
Yeah, it's a way to kind of reframe how you look at your day and how you look at all the stuff that's coming at you every day so that you can sort it out and stay on track. Because, yeah, go ahead.
Let me share with you. I have my calendar from 9 to 5. I sit my butt and I don't go anywhere. It's just like when kids are here, I drive them to school, and that's what I was doing. And for some reason, that timing that me and Andrea picked, it doesn't seem to fit because I'm in the car on the road and
yeah, you don't want that.
So I'm going to talk to her to try to see if we can figure something else out where it's a little more functional. And I didn't know it wasn't going to work until I'm like living in it now to find out that those weeks it's a little.
And that's okay, because life is a series of course corrections, right? You think about a pilot flying a plane. If he's not on autopilot, he's always got to make sure he's on the course that's been plotted out for him. The wind will take you a little this way, the wind will take, and so you're always kind of doing this, and that's okay. That's life. Believe me, even though my kids are older, or 2 of them are still in high school, and I've got this damn dog, like my life blows up on a daily basis. I get it. And I'm not 100% where I need to be with managing that kind of stuff either lately, the past probably 4 or 5 months. It's been hard. But I keep reminding myself, trying to, there's Andrea, when you keep it in front of you, it's easier. So what I did, usually if you go on the Launch Drive, there's a PDF of this, but I brought this because it's easier, I think, for me to draw on this and maybe have the conversation that way. So this is what we're going to do. And you guys tell me at any point if this isn't working for you, right? Let me see, hold on. Okay. So one of the things, tell me if you remember this from launch number 2, is when they talk about Pareto's principle, which is the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of your efforts, if put in the right place, will result in 80% of your results. We'll give you 80% of your results, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? So how do we prioritize the activities in our days to make sure that we're focusing on the 20 and not the 80? Because if you run around focusing on the 80%, you're going to be spinning your wheels and you're only going to get 20% of your results, which you feel like you're going nowhere, right? It's a treadmill. So there's this graph. Hold on. This is not a good pen. Right? This is a U and this is an I. The U stands for urgent and the I stands for important. Right? So everything in life, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Everything in life, God, I hate this. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Everything in life is either urgent or important, right? So there are things that are important, but not urgent. There are things that are urgent and important in life. There are things that are urgent, but not important. And there are things that are neither. Okay. So your job in life, this is like a great just life skill thing, right? It's not just about work. Your job in life is to figure out where things fall. And as far as the 80-20 rule is concerned, you're going to find that everything that's on this side is the 20 and everything that's on this side is the 80. Okay. So what might be an example of something that is important, but not urgent? Oops, I'm spilling stuff all over the place. What's something that is really important, but it's not urgent? Nobody's knocking down your door. There's no deadline. If you don't get it done, nobody else is going to care, but it's really important.
Okay. I have a household thing, like changing your filter in your furnace. It's important.
That's fine.
Urgent.
Yes, that can be. That's a very good example. Because why?
You can mess up your furnace if you don't change your filters.
Right. And it ends up costing you a lot and you don't know until it's done. Marty, are
Right.
you talking? You're on mute.
Yeah, I just said it would be expensive if you didn't do that important task.
Right. Right. But you don't figure it out until it's done, till the damage is done. Same thing with like car maintenance, right? Like you better get an oil change because if you don't, eventually your car is going to blow up. And at that point, it's too late. Nobody's knocking on your door saying, you got to change your oil or I'm not going to let you drive to work. Nobody cares. What's something else?
General health, well-being.
Perfect. Yes. Like health and exercise, right? Exercise, I can't even spell. And mental health, right? So when you have a heart attack because your arteries are all clogged up, because you haven't been walking a little bit every day and watching what you eat, that's too late. It's too late. Damage is done. So think about your business. What's something in your business that nobody's knocking down your door and telling you have to do?
Adding context.
But when it's too late, it's too late.
Lead gen.
Adding lead gen. That's right. Right? Because guess what? You're not going to have any business if you don't do that. So who gives a crap about all the other stuff? Right? Makes sense. So these are the important things, but they're not urgent. Nobody cares until the damage is done. then everybody says, oh shit, what was I thinking? Well, too late. What's something that might be urgent and important at the same time?
A heart attack.
Taxes.
Yes,
That's a good one.
yes, taxes. What else did you say?
That's all I said is taxes.
No. Alma, did you say something?
Oh, and what you mentioned earlier, having a heart attack, that's urgent and important. Going to the
So
hospital,
what are you gonna do? You go to the hospital,
go to the
right?
hospital.
Okay, go to the hospital. What else is urgent and important? Something with a timeline, getting your kids somewhere that they need to be. Perhaps, right? So here's another thing. Let me add something here, right? Family. A lot of people ignore their family, maybe for business, or they, right? They make choices because they think family will always be there. They're okay, they're okay. And some of those relationships get broken. Sometimes you can't fix them. Right? Like Gary Keller and those guys talk a lot about pretending that your life is all these different balls, right? That you're juggling. And your family and your faith are glass. And if you drop those, they break, right? Your work, financial, those things, they're rubber. They'll bounce back. They'll fall. You're going to have to pick it back up, but it's not going to break. Your health, your family, and your faith is glass. So you need to take care of those things. That's why Keller Williams is God, family, business in that order, right? Or faith, spirituality, family, business. You need to take care of your mind, your heart, your family. Then everything else will fall into place. Don't let those things go. So what else in business could be urgent and important? So it's got a timeline, it's got to be done, and it's important for your business.
Contracts, right? We have a timeline on those things.
Contracts. Yeah, certain things that are in contracts, yes,
Yeah, certain things, yeah.
right? With deadlines. Anything else?
I heard
Pay your
you.
bills.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh,
I froze up,
yeah.
I think.
Uh-oh. I heard an example in one of the last videos where you talked about a client that is in need of a house, urgent client that has a need within the next 30 days, lease ending, for example.
Yeah, yep. So,
Yeah.
yes, certain clients, right? Because you might also have a client that's got plenty of time, but is making you feel like it's urgent, right? But follow up, right? Follow up is important and urgent. There's certain things you just got to put ahead of other things. So let's go up here. What is something that's urgent, feels urgent, but it's not important? Not as important as these things, but it feels really urgent and it puts this stress on you.
Cleaning, organizing. Like that's a trick for me because when I know in my head I have to do certain things, it spins in my head. And
Okay.
I find myself, okay, let me just do the laundry. Let me just get that out the way, then I'll get back to it. Let me just get this out the way. And it's just like,
Okay. So like to-dos,
yeah.
right? Because that could be lots of different things. Right? Miscellaneous, like to-do things. A big perpetrator of this is your email inbox. Right? Someone else's emergency isn't necessarily your emergency. Right? If somebody else is trying to finish up a file and they send you a form and they say, hey, I need your client to fill out this payoff form right now. Well, when are we closing on that? If we're not closing for another 30 days, you can wait till tomorrow. Doesn't need to be right now. Just because you're in the middle of it, Mr. Title person, and you want to get this done, that's cool and I respect that, but I don't need to drop everything else that I'm doing because you want it done right now. Does that make sense? So it's stuff that needs to be done. It's just you have to see it for what it is and then properly place it in your day, right? So there are things that you still need to do, but don't let it derail you, right? So like, have you guys ever heard of switch costs when they talk about in business with this kind of stuff? Switch cost is, let's say you're focusing on a project and you get interrupted by a phone call or an email or somebody that a coworker, somebody comes in and they want to ask you a question, you know, whatever. It removed you from like that brain groove that you were in. You take the time on whatever it is that distracted you, and you can't just jump right back into that lane. It's not like you can just flip your brain on and off. It takes some time to like focus and get back into what you were doing. So that whole amount of time, the time that you were distracted, plus the time to get back into what you're doing is what's called switch cost. And just because somebody interrupted you for 3 minutes, your switch cost could be like a half hour because you got to get back into what you were doing. I mean, how many times have you like gone down a rabbit hole on Facebook because you jumped in there real quick just to respond to one post, and all of a sudden you're looking at your feed and I mean, right?
All the time.
All the time.
Wow, that's a trick.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
need to be disciplined. And if that means avoiding certain things because you know that you're going to get pulled, avoid them until you've given yourself the space to address it, which is where time blocking comes in, right? So let's look at this one. What is not urgent and not important? Still things to do, or that you can do, or that you want to do. No one's saying don't ever touch this square, but just know where it is and put it where it belongs. What might be something that's not urgent and it's not important that goes on in your life?
Dishes, laundry.
Like
Okay.
sending out thank you cards or
Well, hold on now. I would say that that's important. Because if they're, let's say, client-based, you don't want to blow that off, right? You want to connect with your clients and you want to make a good impression. And if you want to do it like right after you had a meeting, like a listing appointment or a buyer's appointment, you want to shoot something out that says, you know, thanks for spending the time with me today. I really appreciated it. I'd put it somewhere over here. I'd get that thing out the door. I here would do like personal social media, right? Personal, not business. So, and that's where you have to be careful about if you're doing business social media, maybe up here, don't go down the rabbit hole. That's hard, right? Once you're in there. I would say here, like the movies, right? I don't need to sit here and look at AMC or whatever, oh, puppy, and
Get down.
figure out what time the movies are all playing because I want to go to the movies this weekend. I absolutely want to do it and I'm allowed to do it, but does it need to happen
Right.
at a time that might be distracting me from these other things? So these are the 80%, right? If you spend all your time on what is urgent to other people or things that aren't really important or urgent, if you spin your wheels over here, you're not going to achieve the things you want to achieve. If you hang out over here, do the stuff that no one else is paying attention to necessarily, but is important to you. Take care of the stuff that's got deadlines. 20% of your time will give you 80% of your results. But you have to be disciplined and focused, right? Which is why one of the things I had talked about before was it's like a food journal. if you want to change the way you eat or exercise or whatever, take a week or a few days and write down everything that you're doing. You went to the bathroom, you watched TV for 15 minutes, you threw in a load of laundry, you ran to the grocery store, you took the dog for a walk. I mean, took the kids to school, whatever. Write it all down. And then next to it, put these little initials next to everything. And if you start to find that your whole day is getting sucked up with this kind of stuff, you need to make a conscious change on your calendar to block off time for this stuff. Right? Like another thing that's urgent and not important sometimes could be showings for not motivated clients, right? If you've got clients that say, well, I don't have to go anywhere for 6 months, I'm not pre-approved yet, but I just want to kind of start looking around. You can show them stuff, but don't let it come ahead of these things. You know, if they see a house, especially now in this market, everything's flying off in like 2 days, right? If they see a house that they really like and you've got it in your calendar that you're doing some other stuff, I've got other appointments. I'm not able, you know, I'm free at this time or that time. You need to set boundaries for yourself. Does that make sense? It's a big eye opener when you finally buy into it and you kind of look at how your day is put together, right? So the next part of Launch 2 talks about the one thing. Has anybody read Gary's book or listened to it on Audible, The One Thing?
I have.
It is, do I have a copy of it down here? It's small. I don't have a copy of it here. But you can get one from the office if you want. It's also on Audible. You listen to it more than once. It's one of those things that you hear something different every time you listen to it. But the one thing is a clarifying question. And Trisha, it kind of reminded me of what you said about organizing. What is the one thing that I can do that by doing so makes everything else easier or unnecessary? So if you just keep asking yourself that question, what is the one thing I can do that by doing such, everything else is either easier or unnecessary? So for Trisha, it might be, I need to make sure my workspace is organized or my day is organized because, and I don't know if this is true, Trisha, I'm just using this as an example. Perhaps for her, being in an environment or in a calendar that's unorganized keeps her off balance, right? So by having everything straight and organized, her day will be easier. So what does that look like? Maybe she has to sit down the night before, every night before going to bed, and write a bunch of stuff down on a piece of paper so she's clear on what she's going to do the next day. Or maybe she needs to make sure there's a load in the laundry machine before she goes to bed so she can throw it in the dryer when she wakes up. Or that the sink is empty before going to bed. So you don't have to look at a bunch of dirty dishes in the morning. I mean, it could be a million things, right? One of our agents here, for her, the one thing that she has to do, and it's, can you guys, am I breaking up or can you hear me?
We can hear you good.
Because I keep getting messages that my internet's unstable. Is she needs to exercise in the morning because it clears her mind and she feels like she's ready to take on the day. And when she doesn't do that, she feels bad about herself. That's her thing. So it can be anything for people. For business, the one thing is this lead generation, right? Because without it, you're not going to have any taxes to pay. You're not going to have any clients to follow up on. You're not going to have any showings. You're not going to be getting any emails from a bunch of title companies telling you to do a bunch of stuff. And you're not going to have any unmotivated clients either. Because if you're not lead genning, you're going to have nothing as far as business is concerned. So these other quadrants won't even exist if you don't take care of that one. Right? So I I think it's in everybody's best interest to get a hold of that book. If you want me to see how much it costs, the Market Center can buy them, I think at a bit of a discount. I have a print copy and I also have it on Audible. Sometimes you just listen to it in the car. So I really think that you guys should do that. I'm pretty passionate
Sharon,
about
I'm
this
sorry.
thing. Yeah,
I missed
ahead.
the first half. I was in the wrong Zoom link. What book?
The One Thing. Yep, it's called
Thank
The
you.
One Thing. Yep, no problem. So database, you guys putting your contacts in there?
Yes.
Yeah. How many do any of you have? Do you know off the top of your head?
I have over 200.
Woo! Nice. What are you doing to keep in touch with them? You had good numbers, by the way. I saw that you already put your numbers up. Marcia, how are you keeping in touch with those
These are
200?
people I'm calling. I'm just
Okay.
calling them and letting them know I shift to Keller Williams.
Perfect. And how are they responding to you?
And where they can reach me, and I'm asking for referrals as well.
How is that working? Have you gotten any good responses?
I got one referral that I'm working with right now as a buyer.
Fantastic. And I don't know what your average price point is, but $200,000 is a nice round number. I mean, making those phone calls is worth $6,000, right? I think so. Who else? Because we were saying you got to put in like 50 a week, right? To be able to have 200 by the end of the month. Go ahead, Angela.
So I started off with 111 on February 2nd. And I just went to Facebook. I texted 4 people and they followed up just to see if you got my letter, you know, if you need anything. So all 4 of those people responded. And then I didn't put it in a spreadsheet like you wanted, but I don't know if you can see that.
Okay.
So I contacted 46 people total. 28 either responded and gave me information or just responded and said, you know, hey, a lot of the people that I contacted were people from high school that I haven't seen in 27 years. But they were at least reciprocal and said, hey, that's great. You know, you're in real estate.
Yeah.
I live in Georgia now. If I know of anybody, I'll be happy to pass along your information. So
Right,
a lot of people,
if they still have friends and family in the area, for sure.
Right. And even I had to explain, like one of my girlfriends from high school, she's a traveling nurse and she lives in an RV. So she doesn't have email or anything like that. But, you know, I said, you're a traveling nurse. Wow, that's awesome. Like, thank you for what you do. And she did mention that she meets a lot of people and she would also be happy to, you know, pass my information along. And
Cool.
I was like, well, can I at least have your phone number, you know, so we can keep in touch? And so a couple of people, you know, because I wasn't sure if it counted as a contact if I didn't have their information, but we did have a 2-way conversation.
No,
and I
it
actually
counts.
texted Matt and he said yes. So some people
Yep.
I only have just their name and their phone number, or, you know, just a name and an email. But I didn't put my numbers in, but I contacted 26 people. I talked to 26 people. So that's a high number for me.
In the past
So anyways,
week?
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Good for
and
you.
137 contacts right now. So
Nice.
yeah, and actually
Good.
one of the people that I talked to that I used to work with, she just got engaged over the holiday, and she said that, you know, she will also pass my information along, but her and her fiance are going to start looking within the next year. So I was like, that's awesome, you know. So I'm starting, part of my goals for this week is starting my cultivating. So then I have 3
Yes.
people that I'm going to add to command.
Stay in front of
So-
them. Very good.
So
Perfect.
I had a good week.
Yeah. So our database is called our data bank because you can count on, used to be 10%, but it's like 6% or so of the people in your database will end up resulting in some sort of transaction for you. So it doesn't mean that they're going to buy and sell, but they may refer you to somebody else. So if you have 200 people in your database and you are consistently touching them, it's not just having their names in there, but if you're consistently working it, that's 12 transactions. That's pretty good.
Mhm.
And that'll reach some of your goals, right? So you gotta keep up with that. What about?
Can I just ask one question? I'm sorry.
Of course.
Another one of my goals is to add 20 people to a smart plan daily, because I'm gonna do it where I'm gonna do like the neighborhood nurture, so it automatically does it every month. But
Yep.
if somebody isn't really interested right now, do you think that that's a good smart plan to put them on, or would you recommend a different one?
Yeah. No, I would, because you can tell them that you're just keeping them up to date on their own neighborhood so they know what their house is worth. That's if they're homeowners, right? But if they're not ready right now, part of the conversation could be, well, someday when you are ready, what part of town, where would you want to go, do you think? And you can throw them on a neighborhood somewhere else, just so they can kind of start seeing what's going on. And it's really just about having your name in front of them on a consistent basis. Right?
So that's one that I could potentially send out to my entire database.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the easiest one.
I have a small question.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Someone reached out to me last week and asked me, it's a house on their street that's going up for foreclosure, and they want to know how could they purchase it, or what would the steps be, and I didn't know.
Foreclosures can be tough. It depends on how it's being done. You'd have to find out who's listing it.
How do I find out?
Go knock on their door. Knock on their door, send them a letter, ask them. Other than that, you won't know until it pops up on the MLS somewhere, right?
Okay, so I can go knock on their door as a realtor?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
And one of the things that you can say is, if you have a relationship with another realtor, I understand that. I'm not trying to step on anybody else's toes, right? Because you don't want to do that. But if they don't, like, find out what's going on. You need to ask questions. Is the bank will list it, but they have realtors that they use. You need to go on a fact-finding mission. Just start asking a ton of questions.
Okay.
And already behind, if a person is already behind on their notes, can you sign them up to be their realtor?
Well, you need to find out from them what is the situation with their lender.
Okay.
Right? Because if they're behind, but they're not being evicted and they're not being foreclosed on, for sure.
Okay.
Now, realize that whatever their payoff is going to be taken out at closing, right? It's part of their proceeds. But yeah, they're allowed to sell it just because they're behind. But again, ask a lot of questions. I don't know how far along they are in being behind. Like,
okay, because that was the gray area
process in place.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Sharon?
Yeah. Who's?
Andrea.
Oh, Andrea. There. I had to look around at the screen. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I should have said my name. Good
okay.
day, everybody, first of all.
Hi, Andrea.
Hey, everybody. So Michelle, I just wanted to give some tidbits, if this is okay, Sharon.
Please.
No, absolutely.
Okay. I would suggest that when you go door knocking, let them know, of course, that you're a licensed realtor from Keller Williams, and then let them know somebody's interested in buying their house. And they may be really, really open to you to give you that information because you're coming to them with a potential buyer.
Okay.
And then the person that you talk to that said that they know that the house is being foreclosed on, talk to them. Where did they get their information from? How did they know that the house was being foreclosed on? Do they know if there's a realtor attached to the property, right? So Sharon is absolutely right in about, have to be like a sleuth in this type of
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, so launch 3 was about 36 touch you know, how to properly connect with your people, right? So this is an old graphic but the whole point hasn't changed. The idea is to come up with a calendar and a way of touching the people in your database consistently, come up with a model and with a system. So, but it happens really quickly. 36 sounds like a ton, but when you put it on paper, it's not that much. So if you call somebody 4 times a year, every 3 months, that's 4 you've already got down, right? If you put together a monthly email that you can do through command email, that's 12 more. And think about it, we have the monthly neighborhood nurtures, right? That could be another 12 on top of a newsletter if you wanted. 2 touches if you do some kind of direct mail. It could be 12 touches if you send them a postcard every month. Maybe you want to send a postcard once a quarter for, you know, financial reasons. That would be 4 more. There's so many ways to touch people consistently, right? But these are just ideas. 1 touch would be an annual event. Let's say you give away pies or pumpkins or pies for 4th of July, or Monica Iskra at one point when she was here around, I think, Memorial Day, would give out a packet of, she'd go to Costco and buy the packages of ketchup, mustard, and relish for people to use at picnics over the summer, right? Things like that. And then 1 high value touch, something that solidifies your relationship. It could be the ketchup and mustard thing because you knock on their door and you hand it to them and you have a conversation. Could be you took them out to coffee. You know, something that they remember. Then converting them, right? Maybe 4 more phone calls. A biweekly email, that would be like the biweekly neighborhood nurture, if you wanted to do that. There are lots of ways to saturate somebody with your name, right? Remember last week when I talked about Crest and toothpaste? You want to be on the shelf in the grocery store that they're staring at all the time, and it's your name that'll pop up in their mind. So this is an example of what Matt used to use when he had his team. So he would do a neighborhood update once a month. So you see that that would be 12, right? That top row. Can you guys still see the sheet? Okay.
Yes.
In January, he would send a report with the market stats for the year before. He would send a spring postcard in March, market stats in May, you know, just different little marketing things. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, happy holidays. So every couple months he would send a postcard. Then he had a giveaway. Looks like they would give away something with a Yeti. Then they would do a direct mail in July. Then they would do a refrigerator magnet in August, right before football season. And then, whoops, it disappeared. Where'd it go? Hold on. Ah, did it disappear for you guys too?
Yeah.
What happened? Hold on. Whoops. Nope. There. Okay. So, I mean, this is a lot of stuff that I don't even do this much stuff, but it's nice. You see how he has it laid out? So he can count how many times he's touching people, right? If you guys can put together a system like this, then you have created a system based on a model that will take that off of your brain, right? You know that if you do this stuff, you are staying top of mind. You are consistently touching them. So my challenge to you guys between now and next week is create a spreadsheet like this. In writing, put something together. How are you going to touch your people?
I like the in writing part because
Yeah. And don't get overwhelmed with, is this in command? Is this not? You know, just write it down. So like We know the neighborhood update can be done in Command. We know that the postcards can either be done in Command or Vistaprint, but you'll figure it out, right? Just lay it out.
Yeah.
Just lay something out. Cool?
Yes.
Okay.
Sharon,
This was
really
there.
quick.
Yes, ma'am.
This is
Yep.
Hope.
Yeah. Hi, Hope.
I heard you also in the video mention the Kelly app. Is it still available? Because I went to click it and it said no longer available.
I had the same.
No, it is.
Ask that
You had the
question.
same problem?
I always wanted to go back in there and resend it because I was testing everything on myself, and I'm like, oh my God, it's gone. It says it's no longer available.
I'll have to look into that. I have it. I gotta be honest with you, I barely ever use it. It's not as user-friendly as I wanted it to be.
Okay.
But I'll look into it. Let me see if it lets me log in. And I always type things wrong. So I never know if it's me or my fat fingers. 2019.
I tried it via Command.
I'm in. It let me in. I don't know what you guys can see or not see.
Yeah, it would be Command, and you click on where people.
I go to my Play, well, this happens to be Google, but I just go to my store and I find it there. I've never done it through Command.
Huh. So on the
Yeah,
Command,
it's still working.
yeah,
Huh?
where people's addresses are, you can click on the little tiny thing that says Kelly, and I was able to bring it up, and it would actually send it to them, email it to them.
That's what I wanted to do. Thanks.
And then it worked. It was successful in the beginning, but then now it's not anymore.
I don't know. So if you want to download it on your phone, I would go to your Play Store, your iTunes Store, you know, whatever, and look for it there.
I have a question about showing
Yep.
time. Oh,
Yep.
That app, if you download the app onto your phone,
Yep.
it said that you should register as an agent. And I don't know if I downloaded the wrong one because it's not giving me an option to register. It's like I'm a homeowner approving.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I downloaded the wrong.
You might have. It looks like, can you see that little?
Yeah,
That's
that's
what-
what I have.
I would delete it and try again.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
best I can suggest. All right, so Launch 3 also went over a buyer's consultation. If you look inside the drives, you will see like here's copies of questionnaires maybe, right? That you'll want to ask people because you're just trying to get information, right? Are you pre-approved? What's your price range? If you're not pre-approved, how did you conclude what your range was? Like try and dig in and find out what's going on. If we found a home today that meets all your needs and all your wants, are you ready? When you word it like that, you'll find some people are like, well, I don't know that I want to rush into anything. Okay. You're just trying to gauge where they're at, right? These are all example questions and they're all online. You can just go grab it. You can print this out. This can be scripting and role play, right? Call each other and pretend that somebody's a buyer and ask these questions, go through them so that they become just second nature to you. Describe your lifestyle. What do you like doing at home? Do you like doing a lot of entertaining? How do you spend your time when you're at home? Like I have a client right now that we're trying to find him a house, but he really wants a basement that he will be able to make his own because when his mom and his nieces come over, he wants to go hide in the basement. Right? I'm like, but your family's visiting you. He's like, I don't care. You know, so you just have to get to know somebody, right? And know what they want. Like, do you have any special furniture or equipment, like a piano or wait, you know, I think these kind of things would come based on whatever how your conversation leads you, right? Do you have any pets or do you want a dog someday? Do you want a fenced in yard? Or at least do you want a place that allows you to have a fenced in yard someday? There's all sorts of things, right? And these are ways to build rapport and to learn what somebody might be looking for. So you're going to want to familiarize yourself with things like that. I also have, let's see what this is. This is, these are more questions, but I have a piece of paper where I'll ask people, what's your deal breaker? What's an absolute must? What's a wish? What's an indifferent? I don't care one way or the other. You got to find those things out. There is a copy here of a buyer's presentation that I used for a long time. You're welcome to use it. It's in a doc format. Just download it before you make any changes to it. Please read every sentence, because I tried to take out my personal information, but if my name's stuck in here somewhere, you're gonna want to take it out. But it's very basic. However, Designs in Command has a much cooler looking, graphically pleasing presentation. So what I do like about this though, is it's much more concise, bullet points. I like giving this to my buyers and just say, bedtime reading, go home and read it. It tells them about what's the process. You make an offer, you know, additional property that could be negotiated. What would happen once we present the offer? They're either going to accept it, reject it, or they're going to counter.
You
Right?
print it or you email it to them?
Either one. Either one. Depends on how you're meeting them, right? Then, you know, what happens with closing? Okay, so there's an earnest money. Your lender, what happens with the appraisal? Some people get lawyers. You're going to have to get homeowners insurance. We may want to go back and visit the property so you can take measurements or different things like that. You get to walk through the house 24 hours before. Like, I just throw all this in front of them so that they can read it when they are home alone or refer to it later, rather than just spitting all this information at them when you're in a meeting, right? So like, what's ahead? What are we going to do? How are we going to look at stuff? Whatever, right? So that's in there if you want it. Like I said, Command, oops, my stuff's kind of going away here. Command has really cool, can you guys see what I'm doing?
Yes.
Yes, okay, good. If you go to Designs, Print, we're gonna have to, oh, what? What's that all about?
That happened to me earlier and I just had to close out of it and reopen it and it worked.
Okay. Well, I have this spinning wheel of death, so I'm not sure. Anyway, Command has a really cool thing that you can go through.
There, or did you have to like download it from the market? Was that always?
No,
like-
it's always there. It's in the same place where you can do print campaigns, social media. It'll just say, like, I don't know if it's under lead gen or if it says listings and buyers. It's in two different sections. This is not cooperating with me, unfortunately. Can I get into it any other way? I've got too many copies of this open. That's part of my problem, probably.
I did one yesterday.
Yeah, it's not working. The joys of technology. Anyway, so the next thing in here that we're going to go over next week, because we can't do it today, is your GPS. This is a big deal. We talk about it a lot. Watch the video for launch number 3 if you have not already, and then try and muddle your way through starting to do this. So what you're going to do here is you're going to have a goal for the year, and then you have 3 priorities, priority 1, 2, and 3, to help you reach that goal. And for each priority, you're going to have strategies that help you reach that priority. Like if one of your priorities is touching your database 36 times a year, What are your strategies going to be to do that? I'm going to set everybody up on a smart plan. I'm going to plan some kind of event. I'm going to send everybody birthday cards. I'm going to, right? You can be specific, but it has to be measurable. It has to be something that you can read it and say, I did it or I didn't do it. Black and white, right?
Sharon, so are these like monthly? Is it like a monthly goal for the year?
Nope, this
or-
is for the year. This is for the whole year. Right? So we're almost starting to do the other one. I don't know if I can open up my
Can you be in school?
GPS. Let me see if I can open mine. Hold on. Before everybody else gets in here. I think this one's mine, right? Can you guys see it?
Yes.
All right. Whoa, what happened? Did I lose it? Where'd it go? There it is. Okay. So I'm being specific, right? I've got a goal. I want 60% listing, 40% buyers. My first priority is focusing on my sphere of influence and my past clients, because I've researched my business over the last couple of years, and that's where most of my business comes from. So I'm going to sink my time and my money into what I know works. So I'm doing a 24 touch, and I'm making sure a monthly newsletter is part of it. I'm trying to do 2 reverse bolds, which is like a giveaway, and you get 100 people to call you. I'm doing that twice a year. I was going to do a scavenger hunt a few weeks from now, and it fell through because the organizer bailed out on me. So now I got to course correct, and I have to replace that with something else, and I'll figure it out. I'm going to do a high value touch and do some Mother's Day deliveries for all the moms that are on my sphere. I'm either going to send them maybe a little plant, maybe I'll go knock on their door, or like a seed packet with a cute card. I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to figure that out. And I'm sending every single one of my clients and the people in my database a complimentary CMA, even if they've asked for it or not. I'm putting together, and this is hard because I'm behind already. It's a lot of work, but I'm committing myself to doing it. I have another agent that I'm trying to work with her to take over some of her business. That happens to be one of my priorities. And then coaching and working with you guys and making you guys cappers, right? So that's my GPS. So you guys need to work on something like that for yourself. So, hey, Matt.
Hello.
So we're about to roll into the accountability session now. If you guys want to just listen in, you're welcome to. Get an idea of what it's going to be like once you're done going through launch. If you are the type of person who gets overwhelmed, if you hear too much stuff that feels like you don't know what you're doing, you're welcome to bow out. You don't have to sit in on this if you don't want to. Okay? Who is that? Somebody's got a loud phone. Okay. So look at everybody. We were going over the 80-20 rule, and we were talking about what's urgent and important, what's not urgent, like lead gen, your family, oil changes, changing the furnace filter to make sure your furnace doesn't blow up, but it's stuff we have to do, right? It's a good reminder for everybody. All right. I may
have to take a call regarding a closing that I have at 1 o'clock today. Is that urgent or important?
I was going to say, where do you think that would fall on this graph?
If it was
a closing,
if it was a closing in 2 weeks, I think it would be a little different than a closing at 1 o'clock today.
Right. If it's a closing at 1 o'clock today, it's going to fall right here. Right? You better do it.
I'd agree.
Like he said, if it's a closing in 2 weeks, you can wait and talk about it at the end of the day or the next day. You don't have to jump on that call now just because somebody else wants to know about it. Right?
Correct.
Somebody else's emergency isn't yours.
Correct.